Happy Thanksgiving. Our Protestant brothers and sisters like to brag about the first Thanksgiving at Plymouth in 1621. And the events of that first Thanksgiving are normally portrayed very honestly and truly. I've read the first-hand accounts. I always say if you want to know history, go to the closest source. And Governor William Bradford book on Plymouth Rock, I think it's called, on Plymouth Plantation. Maybe I've read that several years ago, and the accounts are true, what happened at Plymouth. But that wasn't the first Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving Day was celebrated 56 years earlier in 1526, when Pedro Menendez brought 800 Catholic Christians ashore right here in St. Augustine, Florida. And upon coming on shore, they celebrated a mass, a Catholic mass of Thanksgiving. And they invited the Timucua Native Indians that were in that area to celebrate Mass with them. First-hand accounts, again, say the Indians didn't understand what we were doing, but they imitated everything we did during Mass. And then they had a meal together to celebrate and give thanks to God for bringing them to America. And I think their first meal was some kind of stew or something. And so Catholics were here a generation before Protestants were here. Just saying. So thank Catholics for Thanksgiving. And there was this Indian, I forget, Pawtuxet tribe, I forget what tribe he was from. His name was Squanto. And he was taken as a young man, maybe a teenager. History is not clear. He was somewhere between the ages of 10 and 20. He was taken by English settlers, brought back to England, and taught English so they could use them to trade with the Native Americans over here. Then he was sold into slavery. And as he was being sold, he looked pitiful, and some Catholic monks, I think they were Franciscan monks, bought him to give him freedom. And they converted him to Catholicism. He was baptized, became a Catholic, and actually learned Spanish from these Franciscans. And they said he was free to stay with them, or he was free to go home. And so he wanted to go home to his tribe in America, so they paid for him to go over there. And when he went over there, sadly, he found that sickness had wiped out his whole tribe. And he was with some, I think they were called Wampanoag. I have a hard time pronouncing these Native American names. Wampanoag tribe. Told him, yes, your whole tribe was wiped out with disease, and now there's some white men that took over your land. He said, but most of them died last winter because they don't know how to survive these winters, and the rest of them will probably die this winter. Well, Squanto was a Catholic Christian at this time, and in his writings, again, first source writings, he said he felt God led him back to America for his glory, to save his people. Now he realized he was there to save these white settlers. So Squanto came and met with them, and he went fishing. He said they had no food. At that day, the day Squanto met the Pilgrims, they had rationed their food to 5 kernels of corn for each pilgrim. And besides that, they had no food. So Squanto went and caught some eels. And although the Pilgrims never ate eel, and they looked at it kind of funny, they were so hungry they ate it, and they enjoyed it. And then they trusted Squanto, and Squanto taught them how to fish, taught them how to hunt, how to trap. So a Catholic, Squanto, saved our Protestant brothers and sisters. Another reason you need to thank Catholics for Thanksgiving. And just like Protestants do, because This is what they do, and this is what I did. They try to convert Squanto from Catholic Christianity to Protestant Christianity, but he wouldn't convert. Once you go Catholic, you don't go back. So Squanto taught him how to fish, taught him how to hunt, and in that winter they had such an abundance that they wanted to give thanksgiving to God. They wanted to have a feast, and they wanted to thank God for their bounty. And they told Squanto to invite his Wampanoag tribe friends over, and then they came and they actually brought wild turkeys and deer to feast. And this is where we get the tradition of turkey. I'm wondering if Catholic for Rednecks is having deer and turkey. I have to text them and ask them today. So we should thank God Almighty, but we should thank the Catholic Christians that he used to give us this great country. No country on the planet has ever seen the prosperity and the freedom like America seen. We were an experiment that most of the world thought would fail. Kings and tyrants said, oh, people can't govern themselves. They need a king, they need a tyrant, they need a monarch. No, America proved that a government by the people, for the people, of the people, based on Judeo-Christian values will prosper. And, you know, even going back a little further, Christopher Columbus in his diary, again, first sources, says he was sent to America for the glory of God. He came to evangelize. He came for Christ. So again, Christopher Columbus being a Catholic Christian, we should thank Catholics for Thanksgiving. Now, it's important we remember these stories, and these are true stories, because over the years, people that hate America have gotten into our universities and indoctrinated our children. Now these children are in public schools indoctrinating even younger children to hate America. And I'm not going to get all political here, but I just want to leave you with this. The main thing they throw at us is slavery. You know, Squanto was a slave. There's been slaves throughout our history. So we're so evil because we allowed slavery. Well, slavery is recorded in the Bible. God has never condoned slavery. God has never said slavery was good, that we should have slaves. Human beings, men, have had slaves because our human nature is not good. You know, unless we yield to Christ, our nature will not be good. But America was not the only nation with slaves. America had less slaves than Asia at the time, less slaves than Africa. Actually, the word slave comes from the word Slavic, because there were so many Slavics in slavery. And there would be modern day Polish people, white people. So the forces that hate America and hate freedom try and use that as a wedge, because they know they can't use what they use in other countries where communists and socialists take over, the idea of you can never move up the economic line, you can never move from status. We had an African-American president elected and re-elected. You know, many poor people go through life and become rich. You know, we have African-American billionaires, you know, that became billionaires through athletics and entertainment. So they know they can't use that as a wedge against us like they do in other countries. So they use race. And so they use slavery to say, look how evil these people are. Look how America was founded on evil. But like African-American scholar Dr. Thomas Sowell said, it was not unusual to have slaves at the time that America had slaves. That was normal in every continent in the world. What was unusual for a leader to say, if slavery is not evil, nothing is evil. And that's what the great Abraham Lincoln said. So I just want to leave you with the words of Abraham Lincoln when he established the last Thursday of November as a federal holiday to be celebrated. In 1863, he said the last Thursday in November will be celebrated as a national day of Thanksgiving. And he called on the whole American people, wherever they lived, to unite with one heart and one voice in observing a special day of Thanksgiving to implore the interposition of the Almighty to heal the wounds of the nation and to restore it to full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union. I pray that for your family, and I pray that for our nation. God bless America, and stay Catholic.